So, hi everyone. It's me again. So, I hope everybody had a good weekend and the week. And I guess I want to just talk about how these past few days, and probably longer than that, I have reflected extensively on my role play experiences at Gore. Some of you might have heard my story, but most probably haven't. I never had any intention of coming here to Gore. In fact, all these years ago, I only spent time at the Gore Hub out of curiosity. A chance encounter there led me to a walk through the Valkyrie Forest. First visit, 5 minutes, capture. So the capture wasn't anything special, but I was new. I had no idea what was going to happen, and that was really scary. I remember being told that my life was no longer my own, and I had a choice to make. I could accept a caller and serve the Valkyrie Torva until they decided to trade or sell me, or I could serve the band by training to become a Panther Girl. That was a tough decision, but of course, you know which one I chose. Similar to that experience, I remember being captured by Sud Jezwil. I remember how Dawn, Sarah, Simone, Loon, Donnie, and Aurora broke me down until I found myself thinking I'm never going to see my friends in Valkyrie Torva again. It was a real fear, one that never happens to anyone anymore. When was the last time anyone ever had their character changed due to IC roleplay as opposed to making an OOC decision that they wanted to change and so created an IC story to do so? Even back then, there were people who did not roleplay, but were rather just there for raids and combat. But in every group, there was a mixture of both. What I remember most, though, is how dangerous the pathways were. Walking from Valkyrie Forest to Talender Moon and over to the ruins almost always ended up with you being chased and shot, or shot at. If you were caught and you hadn't been smart enough to leave a message with someone, that was a really scary capture. Of course, again, there's always people in every group who are involved in roleplay. One of my first encounters with someone in a different band was with the Sud Jezwil slaver by the name of Velvet Sapphire. All these years later, and I still remember meeting her at the inn in the village of Valkyrie Forest. Her roleplay was so powerful. How she crafted everything was so inspiring. She had a huge impact on me. And then there was the first attack on our camp. VV, I forget what it stands for, a band from Primus, led back then by the Dia Galaxy. Oh, how scared I was being shoved into a cage and having Dia talking to them about taking me with them. Freaked me out. So back then, audio ran the continent every morning, cutting zip lines and shouting something into the camps. You often saw Larls running around. Rika ran an outlaw group out in the Isle of Brand too. I remember being chased one time by Rika and a woman in his group named Morgan. My hands shook as I tried to cover behind the hills as I zigzagged my way south, and I was barely able to avoid capture. The Sud Jezwil was the scariest Panther Girl band, and just like now, the pro raiding groups only took captives so they could get you to provide a return raid. I haven't forgotten about all the times someone would shout "Invalid" during the raid that caused such hard feelings that no roleplay could happen, or that for a while Breezy had a large OOC sign up by our campfire warning people that it was unacceptable, or there was always a group vowing to never interact with another group due to drama or people who didn't want to play by the rules. What I remember the most back then was that more people knew about Gore. There was a desire to understand at least the basics. Groups on the continent had leaders who taught the ways of Gore, leading their group's interactions, and the desire was not to prevent any type of interaction. Sure, some groups had ceasefires, but the concept of OOC was that we were all friends. I see that we were rivals and enemies that were alive and well. Some people understood that you do not rescue someone unless they are from your own group. It just didn't happen because people understood how valuable tension was and conflict is to roleplay. It's quite healthy. Not just in the capture part, but in how you roleplay in any capacity with someone from your group other than your own. It's very important that we all remember that this is a Gorean roleplay. I've said it before, but it's important that the concepts of the tension and conflict, separation of groups, and above all, having some knowledge of Gore becoming important to everyone. pretty much everybody needs to have the concept of gore. You need to understand the inner workings and the animals and everything that goes along with it. Because if you don't grasp this concept, how are you going to lead a creative and fulfilling role play? Leaders should expect nothing less from every member of their group. The only way to make the environment better is to study and learn. And the only way for IC roleplay to be scary, and it's the only way for IC roleplay to be scary, unpredictable, and fun again. The way to addict and interest new players and keep the ones we have from being bored and moving on is to get immersed, is to learn about the characters, is to actually be in it. It is a responsibility for every single one of us share. And I hope it's a challenge that each one of us will take upon ourselves. Who knows? Maybe I'll see you soon in Gore. Goodbye for now.